Welcome to Jazz on My Mind, Coast to Coast. I'm Richard Blackwell. Tonight we're coming to you from one of our favorite places for jazz in Wilmington, Delaware, KombuCombo, located at 1709 Loverine Avenue. Now tonight we're going to present a new band to Jazz on My Mind, the KombuCombo. Now this band is comprised of 5 musicians handpicked by their leader and drummer, John D. Giovanni. This band has a unique mixture and blend, and their sound is very universal. So stay tuned. Coming up, I've got a jazz chat with John D. Giovanni and performances coming up by the KombuCombo on Jazz on My Mind. With me now is the man of the hour, the one and only Mr. John D. Giovanni. John, welcome to Jazz on My Mind.
Thank you. Pleasure.
It's good to see you. I mean, when we first met, it was about 2 months ago, here at KombuCombo, and Dexter Kuntz, the man about town, one of the most talented musicians in Delaware, introduced us. And I told you at that point, I cannot wait to get you on Jazz on My Mind, and here you are.
Yeah, here you are.
Here we are.
First, I want to say thank you for coming out in such lousy weather.
Yeah.
And I want to thank you for fighting a good fight.
Yeah.
You're one in a million.
Well, our whole thing, John, collectively, our fight is to keep jazz alive.
Yeah.
And anything that Jazz on My Mind can do to assist in that, and you're doing your part, so we're doing ours.
Yeah. We're all soldiers in this fight.
There you go. Now let's talk about the band. Now the band is called the KombuCombo.
Correct. Very good.
Where did that name come from?
Well, Kombu stands for a variety of things. First of all, it first got my attention. I just like the combination of the two words. It's kind of a play on words.
Yes, it is.
It's kind of fun and it rolls off the tongue nicely. But kombu is actually a type of Japanese seaweed, edible seaweed they use in macrobiotic cooking. And it's the most popular Japanese seaweed. So that's where I first heard of it. And then when I started looking into it, there are all these other connotations for kombu, like kombu is a valley in the Himalayas. Kombu, there is a certain type of music that's played in Africa. If you go on YouTube and just do a search on kombu, you'll find these African musicians playing these really strange looking big long horns. You know, so kombu is a pretty universal thing, and the reason I picked that is because our music is like that. You know, we play world music, we have African influences, jazz, Afro-Cuban, Brazilian, like that. So I wanted something that, you know, would represent what we're trying to do.
And I'm telling you, that's quite an interesting name. When I first heard it, I was like, whoa, I gotta ask John, where did that come from? Yeah. Now, your band, which the Jazz on My Mind viewers will be seeing in just a little bit, is comprised of yourself and 4 other tremendous musicians. Be so kind and give us their names and who's in the band.
Okay, well, first of all, I play drums.
Right.
I'm the one that hits the things in the back. And the other 4 are musicians. We say 4 musicians and a drummer. Norm Durrell plays mallet instruments and percussion. Okay. And tonight you're going to see him play an electronic instrument called a mallet cat. And that can simulate vibes or marimba or any kind of electronic thing. We got him playing clavinet on some of the funkier stuff on it. And Frank Kitty is the saxophone player.
Frank Kitty? Frank McKitty. Okay.
And he plays anything from soprano all the way up to baritone. and we've even got him playing oboe and flute. So he's a trooper.
Okay.
Sean Holtz is the guitar player. Bob Colligan plays bass.
And Bob's been on Jazz on My Mind before.
And Bob has, and interestingly enough, he was playing upright, I think, when you saw him before.
Yes, yes. Tremendous bass player.
When I asked him to join this band, I said, I want you to play electric. And I didn't really know, I knew his upright chops were incredible.
Wow.
I didn't really know his electric chops. But as it turned out, it was a gold mine. Because wait till you hear this guy.
I can't wait. Sounds as though
he's all over.
Sounds as though you've got a great treat for us tonight.
Yeah.
Now, the band I know you told me had been together a little over a year.
A little less than a year, actually.
And you guys are from various locations here on the East Coast.
Yeah, we're pretty close together.
What brought you guys together as a group?
Well, I do the booking here for the Thursday Night Jazz.
At Galuccio's.
Yeah.
That's where we are, of course.
Yeah. So I would see the guys come in and out, and I'm playing with a few, like Bob I've played with for years, and a few of the other ones I've known about for years. Some were new, like Sean Holtz. I teach with Sean up in Kennett Square, so I got to know him. And again, some of these guys are really, I just had a feeling about.
There you go.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now Norm, for example, I played another band with him called Flying on Instruments.
Okay.
And I liked his writing.
Okay.
All right? So I said, I want this guy in my band. I want his compositions.
In your band?
Yeah. So I wanted, Bob Colligan, because I knew he was great. I wanted Sean because Sean brought another element into the band. Kind of, I don't know, his guitar playing is like John Scofield, Jerry Garcia kind of vibe.
Gotcha.
Really smooth, and he plays some really outside stuff.
Yeah.
And Frank, he just blows me away on horn. I've heard him play, so I had the opportunity to, know these people.
And put your thing together yourself.
Yeah.
That's a tremendous situation.
Them,
Yeah, to handpick your own band. Wow. Now, we know that jazz is what's happening. And our thing, yours and mine, is to make sure that jazz continues to happen. Now let me ask you, how long have you been in love with jazz?
Well, I came to jazz through the fusion door.
Okay.
My first experience with jazz was Bitches Brew.
Oh, Miles Davis. Yeah.
And from Bitches Brew, then I got into Tony Williams' Lifetime. Out of Bitches Brew came Weather Report, Return to Forever.
Yeah.
So many people played on Bitches Brew that were influenced by that whole thing from Miles. And so from there, I started going back. And I got into Silent Way, and then I got Miles Smiles, and went back, and I found Coltrane.
Yeah.
Okay. But Bitches Brew was definitely the window for me.
And when you mentioned about going back from Miles to Junk, that's like a pattern. It's like a puzzle. One piece fits, then the next piece fits, and then you start finding yourself kind of like walking down a pathway.
Yeah.
And that's incredible.
It's like you find you find a clue in a forest, and, and you follow the clue, and you find something else, and you keep on the trail, you start finding all this other stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Now, who are some of your influences as a drummer?
As a drummer?
You are a great jazz drummer. Who are some of your influences as you were growing up and you first started playing?
Well, as I was growing up, I'd say my first influence was Elvin Jones. And then, the drummers on Bitches Brew, who were primarily Lenny White and Jack DeJohnette.
Now, when you speak about Lenny White,
I know.
And when you talk about jazz fusion, he was also instrumental in fusing jazz in the 80s.
Return to Forever.
And with his group 29. I mean, what a marvelous group. So those were some of the people that influenced your jazz.
Those are some of the people, and then Indigo Chancellor.
Good friend of mine from Los Angeles.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's quite the diplomat, too.
Yeah, he is a tremendous person and very big in the 70s and the 80s.
Yeah.
His music was very prominent. You could hear it on a lot of situations. He played with a lot of artists.
And there's so many, but now I got to say my primary influences, the ones that I listen to now for inspiration, are, two of the main ones are Tony Williams.